Chapter 6 Heat. The girls showed up again. It was 2 days after the Cortana game, which the Clippers had won 3-2. Michael had pitched the first 3 innings, struck out 8 of the 9 batters he faced before handing the ball in the game over to Anthony Fierro and watching Anthony pitch his best 3 innings of his All-Star season from there. There was no game or practice scheduled for the next day, but Manny told Michael he'd meet him at Macomb after his doctor's appointment for his stupid allergies, somewhere around 3 o'clock. Michael knew that could mean anywhere between 3 or 4. He operated at Manny's standard time. There was no getting around it if you were Manny Cabrera's friend. He was loyal, funny, smarter than he let on, loved baseball as much as Michael. There were so many good points with Manny that Michael couldn't keep track of them all. But none of Manny's good points, not a single one, involved him showing up on time for anything except a real game. So instead of going straight down to the field, Michael decided to stop at the stadium first. That night the Yankees were going to play the last game of the 11th game homestand, El Grande on the mound. Michael had found a brand new ball in the apartment, stuck in the pocket of his glove, stuck a magic marker in his pocket, and walked around the stadium to where the blue barriers had been set up near the Yankee souvenir store, the one with so many of the player jerseys in the front window. El Grande's number 33 was front and center. Michael had heard the radio announcers saying the other day that it was currently outselling all the other Yankee jerseys combined. As usual, most of the people waiting for the players to arrive were adults, carrying their own balls and programs as photographs and notebooks. Hollis had once said these were the people who only wanted autographs so they could turn around and sell them. But if you were lucky enough to get your favorite player to sign something, Michael had said, why would you sell it? Because baseball is a business, and these people, Carlos answered, even a signature from one of their heroes. It's different with me, Michael said, and always will be, Carlos said. Now, behind the blue barriers, Michael slid to the front of the crowd as the people around him cheered and called out Joe Johnson, the Yankee first baseman and the rookie catcher, Tony DeVeronica. Short and squat, built like an old version of Manny. Out of the parking lot after them came the new Japanese right fielder, Sasaki. No El Grande. Michael watched as a few more players arrived, a couple of them Yankee broadcasters. Finally, he asked the boy about his age if El Grande had arrived yet. You missed him by 10 minutes, the boy said, but it wouldn't have done any good. The guy walked right past us like we weren't even here. Michael said, he's pitching tonight. He probably doesn't stop to sign on days when he's pitching. Dream on, the other boy said. I've never seen the guy even look over here. Dream on, Michael thought to himself, and made his way across the Rupert Place and across the basketball courts to wait for Manny, who actually showed up at 3:30, almost on time if you were using Manny's standard time. Before you say anything, my arm hurts from my shot, Manny said. Did the shot make you walk slower getting here? It's not your fastball I'm going to remember someday, Manny said. It's your compassion. I'm sorry about the shots, Michael said, really. Though if they'd give it to you in your butt, you probably wouldn't have felt anything. Ha ha, Manny said, ha ha ha. He went and got behind the plate without being asked. Michael knew by now that it was the same with Manny, the catcher, as Manny, his friend. He would do anything for Michael, on or off the field. It was never something the two of them discussed, whether it required a thank you from Michael. But he announced right now that he wanted to throw pitches to Manny Cabrera for an hour straight. Manny would just nod, and in an hour would still be snapping back throws to Michael out of his crouch as if Michael had just thrown his first pitch of the day. He'd still be yelling, now you're humming, bud. He wouldn't even think about stopping until Michael did. This was one of the moments when he wanted to thank Manny, or at least try, even if he knew he wouldn't get anywhere, because he never had in the past. You know, Michael said, I don't think I could even think about pulling this thing off without you. They both knew how much trouble Manny would be in if his mom ever found out the secret Manny was keeping. Knew from Carlos that any adult who found out about the two children living without an adult was supposed to report them, by law, to something called the Administration of Children's Services. Manny didn't want to hear about it. Shut up and pitch, he said. Michael did, getting himself loose, keeping track of the number of warm-up pitches he'd thrown before starting to cut loose, throwing as hard as he could before long, somehow becoming more accurate as he did, hitting Manny's mitt wherever he had it set up, inside corner, outside corner, high in the strike zone, low. It didn't matter. Michael hit the glove almost every time. Manny finally stood up, soft-tossed the ball back to Michael. You might not need a break, Star, he said. Star being his personal nickname for Michael, but I do. Let's get a drink. Michael said he was cool with that and began walking in from the mound. Manny waited for him at home plate. When Michael got there, Manny was looking past him toward the outfield, grinning. "Check it out," he said. "Check what out?" "We have an audience," Manny said. Michael turned around. There she was, out behind center field fence, staring right at them. He still had the ball in his left hand, and without thinking about it, planted himself, wound up, and chucked the ball all the way out there, even longer throws than he made to get to the purse dealer. Put it one bounce over the fence to where she was standing. He stood there now with his hands on his hips, hoping she could see him smiling at her. The girl, in her long-legged blue jeans, wearing a pink t-shirt today that had something written on the front, walked calmly around the fence, like she had all the time in the world, or like she was waiting to decide just what she wanted to do. When she got to the ball, she looked at him, then put her hands on her hips, like she was mimicking him. Then the pretty mystery girl with the long legs picked the ball up and threw it back to Michael, on the fly. Michael turned around and looked at Manny, who was staring at the girl in the distance the way you stare at fireworks for the first time you see them in the sky. "I saw," Manny said. Michael stepped back behind the plate now to show her his arm was better, and throw the ball back, really gunning it, putting everything he had into it like he was trying to throw it into the river, wanting to make sure he got this one over the fence without any bounces. The ball tracked down the mystery girl all the way, like it was a fly ball in a video baseball game that was carefully guiding into the outfielder's glove. When it got to her, she reached up casual, like a big league outfielder making a routine out, and caught the ball in her glove, one he hadn't even noticed she had on. From behind Michael, Manny said, "Can of corn." Michael barely heard him. He was staring at the girl still, wondering where the two of them were going with the strangest game of catch he'd ever played. "You ever seen an arm like that on somebody our age?" Michael finally said. "Yeah," Manny said. "Yours." "Who is she?" Michael said. "Just a girl," Manny said, "with a Superboy arm." "A girl I've seen twice now," Michael said. "I didn't mention it just 'cause I didn't think it was important. But she was watching us on Saturday when we were messing around in a pickup game with the guy E-Scope." "Yeah? You talked to her?" "I was going to because I swear I thought she was laughing when I was pitching to him that day. Like she found it funny." "Well, dude, maybe she just noticed how funny you looked, even from a distance," Manny said. "Very funny," Michael said, "and don't call me dude." They looked over, and she was watching them, keeping her distance still, throwing the ball up in the air, catching it with her glove behind her back. Michael held up his glove, telling her, "Throw it back." She did, on the fly again. She was right-handed. She had, Michael could see, a beautiful motion, graceful, as if it wasn't taking any effort at all to throw the ball as far as she was throwing it. Inside his own head, not wanting to give Manny any kind of opening, Michael thought, "She definitely does not throw like a girl." "We gotta meet her," he said. "Okay," Manny said, "but let me do the talking." Michael said, "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means that you do not possess the ability to talk to girls in any sort of coherent manner." "Coherent manner," Michael said. "Did you get that one out of the books?" Manny Cabrera, Michael knew, didn't just love baseball and dancing and watching movies. And maybe Maria Kueller. He loved to read, too, even if that was any secret he kept from his teammates. He loved to read books that weren't even assigned on their summer reading list. So he was always dropping what sounded like grown-up expressions on Michael. Manny shook his head now. "Actually," he said, "Jim Cat used that one with Michael Kay on the Yankee game the other day, saying that when there is a runner on second, he could be stealing signs. Joe Johnson doesn't always put down his signs in what would be considered a coherent manner." "Whatever," Michael said. "And I can talk to girls. I talk to Maria more than you do." "I'm talking about girls you don't know," Manny said, "which is when you turn into one of those guys in the scary movies who can't even get out their scream." "Do not do," Manny said. "Infinity." Michael looked back over to the mystery girl. She was still there. "Let's go before she disappears," Michael said. The two of them started walking toward her. She didn't run this time.